with your hosts, Cindy Reinhardt, Dick Foley, and Dana Middleton.
No other actress was more popular or more visible than Shirley Temple. Today on Northwest Afternoon, she'll tell us what it was like to be a child star.
On the good ship, lollipop is a sweet trip to a candy shop where bonbons play. On the sunny beach of Peppermint Bay.
She was bubbly, curly-haired, outspoken, simply America's little darling. Shirley Temple was the most popular child actress of all time, the #1 box office draw for a record consecutive years. She had a glorious movie career that began at the tender age of 3 and continued for 19 years.
Animal crackers in my soup do funny things to me. They make me think my neighborhood is a big menagerie.
President Franklin Delano Roosevelt once said of her, "It is a splendid thing that for just 15 cents, an American can go to a movie and look at the smiling face of a baby and forget his troubles." Now, 50 years since her zenith on the screen, she still possesses the unique charm that makes people smile and feel good. We're very pleased to have her with us today. Please give a warm welcome to Shirley Temple Black.
Oh, that was goodness.
Just as in...
be able to shake my hand. I've just been signing about 1,000 books.
Keeping you busy.
Yeah, and
Well, you become a fixture here at KOMO, too, in the last couple of days.
I am going to send in a bill. You know, I'm a union member. I still have my union membership in AFTRA and SAG. Hi, cameras. They're the most important guys in the whole... Hi.
You know,
Hi.
An appropriate leading question, Shirley, might seem to be because...
Hi, Frank.
For
Hi, Dana.
Because for 50 years now, you've been going back and looking at film clips like you just saw.
I haven't. No. Yes?
From time to time.
We got you, though.
What does that stir in you at this point in your life when you see yourself working at age 5 and 6?
The great love I had for my profession. I think I would have paid the studio for the privilege of working, and I think I did.
In some ways.
I loved the work. I just loved it. When you start anything at 2.5, like I did in dancing school, and then start working at 3.5 in short films, which went with my size, and still would. I don't know, it was just a super life.
How did they treat you as a little kid on the set? Were children treated differently than adults, and if so, how?
During my starlet time, which was between 3.5 and 5, it was a little bit more tough. I remember one scene in a show called Kid in Africa. And these are little tiny 10-minute films. They put them on in movie theaters instead of the cartoons. Well, in one scene, all these little black children had to run down the path, I guess chasing me, and they all were supposed to trip. Well, the director didn't like the way it looked because they didn't all trip at the same time, and so what he did was to have a wire strung across the path. And when the children ran down the path, they all fell at once, and I suppose that they thought it was funny, the audience, but they cut their little legs, they were bleeding, I started to cry, they were crying, and of course we were all in a heap for quite a while.
Mm-hmm. You know, that same film reminds me of the ride in the cart with the ostrich.
Where does this go?
That hooks up behind you.
Or into the philodendron.
Yeah.
Yes, the plant does it.
I mean, I'm trying to look, so neat. And
That's from a station in San Diego, I think.
I think so, yeah. I think I'm doing a national show here. We're going all, maybe satellite even.
Right.
Who knows? What were you saying?
I was thinking of the ride in the cart with the ostrich.
That was funny. I think. There was
It was a very funny read, yes.
There was an ostrich, and Georgie Smith, I was kind of hoping to hear from Georgie Smith if he's still alive. I think he lives in Olympia, Washington, or somewhere around here, and I've been kind of looking around today to see if, I have no idea what he looks like, because...
Are you here, Georgie?
And if not, maybe he'll call.
I
He's out there.
haven't seen him since I was 5 years old. Maybe it's better we should not see each other. I don't know. Georgie and I are in the cart behind the ostrich. The ostrich has a canvas bag over its head. The ostrich had never been in movies either. So when they pulled the bag off after the camera went to speed, the ostrich looked around, looked at these two children in the little cart behind him, and his eye, one I saw, was as big as a glass baseball, black, a big black baseball, you know, shiny. And he took one look, and he freaked out. He took off. He knocked over people. He knocked over chairs, lights, almost got the cameraman, and pulling us
And you're
in
the cart.
Yeah, we're in the cart. And he slammed into a wall, finally, and knocked himself out. And our cart tipped over, and we were okay. We were just, you know, I was hanging on to Georgie because he was a darling little boy. And I thought, how many kids get to ride behind an ostrich? You know, that's where my head was. And the last line of that part of my book, of Child Star, the last thing I remember was the director saying, "Bring on the elephant." Oh boy, here we go again.
Tell us the story, because this is the one thing that took me a little bit by surprise. Even though Hollywood was different then, we didn't have child labor laws.
Yes, we did.
Well, but not like they are now.
No, not the same.
The story of the black punishment box.
The black box.
Astonished me. Tell our viewers about that.
Okay, in the old days, way back there, they had, they called them sound boxes. And they were big black boxes on rubber wheels, rubber tires, about 6 feet by 6 feet. And one of them, the sound engineer sat in the black box and mixed the sound. No camera noise, no noise on the set and all that. So there was a second sound box on our set, and it was empty except for a big cake of ice. And any time I misbehaved, or any of us misbehaved, I'd be put in there a few times. I was put in the black box, and they'd close the door, and it's pitch black, and there's no place to sit down. There's no place to lie down because you don't want to sit on the ice or lie in the water. And so you stand there and get cold. And after
How long were you there?
I don't know. I mean, a child, I don't remember, you know, the length. I didn't have a watch, and it was dark. You know, I couldn't see. Is that pretty good?
That's pretty good.
What were you thinking in the box?
Oh, not much, you know. I think I better learn the lesson I'm being taught by the director.
And not end up back in
This is during the
again.
Starlet time. This is not Fox Studio where it was all wonderful. This is my Starlet time. And what I learned was time is money, and it's work, not play. And the good news is that I'm not afraid of the dark, and I still like ice.
And there aren't many of us
Yeah.
who developed a work ethic like you did at the age of 3.
Right.
It was astonishing because you loved to work.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll take a short break.
Thank you.
Such incredible fame at an early age did not come without a price. There were kidnap attempts on Shirley. There were advances, uncalled for advances from producers, even a murder attempt. All the cost of fame. Talk about that in a moment.
Yes.
She's lying. I don't know who she is or what she's doing, but Heidi is mine.
That's enough. You will be held for trial.
You stupid fools! Can't you see what you're doing?
Lock him up.
You can't! You're not going to take her away from me again!
No, you must stay away. He's telling the truth.
Who is Shirley Temple Black and Frank and whoever else?
Think about this, Dick. Frankly speaking, Dick.
I may have introduced myself as Frank. I do that sometimes. Just to
Sharon's lovely, too.
throw people off.
And we seldom have guests as pleasant as Sally, so we'll continue with our interview here. In your heyday, I mean, we were talking about signing autographs now, today, in 1988.
Oh, okay.
In those days, what kinds of mail and gifts and flowers, presents did you get?
Well, I think my 6th birthday, Dana, I got about, I think it was 167,000 presents. The press release says 300 and some thousand. But of course I didn't know about it and never saw them because the studio, at my mother's request, sent them quickly to orphanages and to, you know, every place, children's hospitals. And so I got my usual 4 presents from my family.
But when you look back on it now, was Mom's protection of that kind of excess, do you think, a good idea?
Absolutely. She was the best mom that anyone could have. I dedicated my book to my mom.
Yeah.
And the last line in the book is, "Thanks, Mom," because without her, well, she was just so special. She was very shy. She was 5'8". She had kind of an austere quality about her to people because she was scared inside, you know. But she was kind of haughty looking and put them off a little bit, which was good.
Do you think, Shirley, she preserved for you what you might call a sense of normalcy in your childhood? Because your childhood wasn't normal.
I thought it was.
Yeah. But did she try to make it normal? Or
the best we could. We both, I love the picture without the hat, but that's not it. That's the professional woman look. What she did was to take the advice of Winfield Sheehan at Fox Studio in the early days. And Winfield Sheehan said, "Shirley may not eat in the studio commissary. She'll turn into a little adult, and I will have her stay in a little bungalow." Everybody, Janet Gaynor had a bungalow, and Will Rogers, and all the stars.
In fact, there was a rumor in Italy that you were an adult, a small adult.
A midget.
A midget.
A midget. I was 7 years old when that one hit, and they said I was a midget with a 30. I was a 30-year-old midget with a 7-year-old child, and so there was a father sent from the Vatican from a newspaper in Italy, in Rome.
To actually check out the rumor?
He came to the studio. He sat in my trailer. He showed me a book of religious paintings, and my mother was there, and he kept looking at me, you know, and checking and talking to me, asking me questions, and finally I passed the test after about an hour, I guess, and he said, "Oh, we're so relieved. She really is a child." Oh. And of course, my mother got furious because she didn't like anyone thinking I was a midget with a 7-year-old child.
Question from Brenda in the audience. Go ahead.
Yes, I want to know if your mother curled your hair that way or whether that was done by the studio for publicity.
No, my mother had, every contract that was signed, my mother had no creative control at all of the scripts or the stars or anything about it. The only control she had was my hair and my health and her love, you know.
Tell her how she set your hair.
She curled each curl. There were 56 of them, and she curled them around one finger, like 2 fingers, and put them flat in one bobby pin for each one. Meanwhile, my dad read the whole Oz book series to me over the years while my hair was getting...
And this was every night, wasn't
Every night, except Saturday night.
Yeah.
Saturday night, I could, you know, do anything I wanted to and get it all messed up because I didn't work on Sunday, but I worked a 6-day week.
Early on, you had really no dramatic training, a couple of years of dance.
Never have, and it shows.
Yeah, of dance training. No, it doesn't show.
Thank you.
But the dancing was that your first love? Did you really love the dancing as much as, I know you loved marching.
I liked all of it. Yeah. I loved to march. Yeah, I wanted to join the FBI at one point.
Well, your brother did.
My brother Jack did. Yeah. He was in it 26 years, special agent.
Was Bill Robinson your favorite dance partner?
He was not only my favorite dance partner, he was my favorite star and my favorite friend.
Talk to us, after we look at a clip of you and Uncle Billy.
Very famous
Talk to us
scene.
about that relationship.
Okay.
I want to do that, too.
All right. Are you ready?
Yep.
Come on. Say, you can catch on quick. Look out now. Here's your last one. What's going on around here?
Oh,
Your feet moved through that whole clip.
I was
do you
there.
Do you remember that
I was
dance
there,
still?
Dana. Oh, yes.
Can you do it?
Yeah. I'm not going to
No.
because you don't pay me anyway.
No.
You know.
Well, neither did they.
I got a Pepsi, though, on the back there.
Could you walk through that dance in your mind? Could you do it again?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So they stay with you?
Yes. Anything Bill taught me stayed with me.
Yeah.
A lot of things I learned in high school I've forgotten.
Were you aware of the controversy that you and Bill created, particularly in the southern United States?
No, I didn't know about it at the time. I didn't know it till much, much later. But apparently if our hands ever touched, and of course they did all the time,
sure,
the scenes would be edited for showing in the south of our country. That's pre-civil rights time, and it was too bad. Incidentally, I wanted to explain that Bill wasn't really old then. They had to powder his hair to make him look older in that particular movie, The Little Colonel.
What do you think it was so special about him that made him such a favorite of yours?
Just a super guy. He had great dignity and great style, and was a lot of fun. He gave me a little white racing car when I was about 8, and it had red leather upholstery, a little tiny thing, had a sewing machine motor or something. You know, it didn't go too fast, but he rode on the back, and I went, at the beginning it was very fast. I went fast. I went over curbs, and like the ostrich, I was hitting things. And the next morning when I came back to the studio, they'd taken off that, they put a governor on the engine so that I couldn't go fast anymore. But Bill was, he knew the way to my heart. And you know what was special about him with me? He treated me as a peer. He didn't treat me as a little kid.
Talk down to you.
No. Yeah. I liked people. I still like people, but especially Dick over here.
Frank.
Frank. To you, it's Frank to you. We'll take a short break. She has described
She is so confused now.
Shirley has described her most favorite leading man. We'll find out maybe who the least favorite is. We'll also talk about the transformation from child to adolescent on the screen in just a minute. Be right back.
Then the Yankees came, and my daddy had to hide in the garret. Then Colonel Morrison came in. He talked to me. He's awfully nice. He has a little girl, too, just my age. Then he found Daddy. And Daddy told him about wanting to take me to my Aunt Caroline in Richmond so I could get enough to eat.
Shirley Temple Black is our guest, and before we get completely off the subject of Bill Bojangles Robinson, Shirley has a fascinating story about after Bill died, about 3 years after he died.
After he died.
You were sick in the hospital.
Well, I went to a hospital just to have my son, and the doctor had a brain tumor. We didn't know it. Anyway, he did surgery on me, and I eviscerated pleurisy, blood clot in the lung, almost died for 7 weeks. And about the 5th week, in my room, there was an electric fan. It was the Naval Hospital back in Bethesda. And in the middle of that fan suddenly was Bill Robinson's face. And he said, "Come on up, Shirley. It's nice up here." And I got so scared that I pushed the button and I said, "I don't want to be alone anymore," because I wanted to live.
Wow.
But he was that special to me.
Still is. Who would you say, by contrast, is someone that was the most difficult to work with?
Oh, it was that fellow in The Bachelor and the Bobby Soxer, I think.
That fellow?
Yeah, that fellow. Not Cary Grant. He was super, even though I got in a little trouble with him. The character actor I was working with. And anyway, he forgot a line, and as usual, I helped him or something. And I should have known better after Lionel Barrymore and all the others. But we had words, and he called me a very bad word, which I hadn't been called before. Isn't that fortunate I've forgotten his name completely, but he's in the book.
That was either a blessing or a...
Well, let's do this. We don't have a clip of him calling Shirley a bad name, but we do have a clip. We do have a clip from the same movie, The Bachelor and the Bobby Soxer, and it'll give you an idea of some of the transitions she has been going through. Take a look.
I have to interview you.
You what?
For the high school paper. I'm the editor-in-chief.
Oh.
Shall we go somewhere where we can be alone?
Well, I'd like to, but
You know,
maybe
it
I
isn't
haven't.
every day that we have a famous artist here. I bet you've had a terribly interesting life.
Not very. Look, could we do this some other time? I have a date, you see.
And you're not married.
No.
Oh, I knew you weren't. You just couldn't be.
Oh, I've had some offers.
It's this way. We can talk in here.
Yes, but don't you see,
Please?
He was super to work with.
Yeah, I bet he was.
He was a perfectionist, and he was neat, and I had a crush on him, and, you know.
How did the studios deal with that transition of you going from the little girl to a young woman?
It got better after I left. I did one film at MGM called Kathleen with Herbert Marshall and Lorraine Day and Gail Patrick. And MGM was not my kind of studio, I don't think. Anyway, I left there, moving right along, and had one independent film with Edward Small, Miss Annie Rooney. Then was fortunate enough to be signed to a 7-year contract by David O. Selznick. And to me, he was the superior producer in Hollywood, Gone with the Wind and Rebecca and all those great movies.
Did anyone ever try to continue to make you look younger, as if you weren't growing and weren't
I'm not
developing
even
and
trying now. I mean, you know, at age 60, you just roll with it, right? That's the way things are. But no, nobody gave me much. Although I didn't look old enough in the movie with Ronald Reagan, that Hagen girl, which was sort of, you had a soap opera thing on earlier?
Yeah.
That was a long soap opera. And I looked too young for Cary Grant. He and I got married at the end of that film.
Or for Ronald Reagan, yes.
I mean, Ronald Reagan. And there's a picture. And we didn't look well matched.
Question from Cindy. Go ahead.
What was your favorite movie you made when you were a child?
Wee Willie Winkie as a child.
Why that one?
Because I got to march and wear a uniform and run in front of stampeding horses and had a wooden rifle and learned the manual of arms and like John Ford and Victor McLaughlin and C. Aubrey Smith, all those people.
Did you ever feel...
I was a tomboy, you see.
Despite the curls and the ruffles.
Yeah, I didn't wear those when I got home, into the jeans, and just like I'm going to do today.
Yeah.
Tell us very quickly if this was the worst of the stories. I know you were singing on a stage one night, and there was a woman, a deranged woman, with a gun in her purse, and she pulled it and aimed it at you.
Yeah.
And the police found out later that it was loaded, and she had intended to kill you.
Yes.
When you learned all this...
About as far away as from your audience, the first row.
That's cutting it pretty thin.
I was doing a live radio show on CBS radio in Hollywood, and she did do that. We had seen her earlier and knew that she was angry. I'll try to speed it up for you. When she was asked after the security carried her out of the theater, and fortunately she didn't scream, they got the gun from her, she said that she wanted to kill me because her daughter had died the day that I was born, and I had stolen her daughter's soul. What she didn't realize was that the studio had taken a year off of my age when I got there, and I was a year older than that anyway.
So you couldn't have
So it
stolen
wasn't
the
my soul, you know. But poor soul, I'd say, that poor lady. Yeah.
And lucky Shirley, because
Lucky Shirley.
that is that close.
Yeah.
Another short pause. Shirley, in sequence, decided to end her first marriage, later than to end a film career, and to settle down to be a wife and mother, and another career loomed ahead. We'll hear about Shirley the Ambassador right after this.
For about...
Shirley Temple Black is with us. Tell us about, you married Jack Agar when you were relatively
17.
young lady, yeah.
I wanted to be, watch this, young ladies, I wanted to be the first girl in my senior class to be engaged and married. Dumb reason. Don't do it for that reason. Anyway, I did love him very much. We had a lot of problems, and I tried to make it work for 4 years. Had a beautiful baby. There's Susan on the monitor.
Yeah.
She's now 40 years old. Has a little girl almost 8 years old of her own.
Grandma Shirley.
Anyway, we couldn't make it work, and so unfortunately I had to get divorced.
Yeah.
And I went to Hawaii, hating all men, never look at another man, and about a few days after I arrived in Hawaii, I met Charlie Black. We fell madly in love. He didn't know who I was. It was wonderful.
He had never, in fact, even seen one of your films, had he?
Isn't that there he is, handsome thing.
Very handsome.
And we have been married as of next December 16th. We'll be starting our 39th year of marriage.
It is just wonderful. How many kids?
We have 3 children, 2 girls and 1 boy in the middle, the one who was born back in Bethesda, and the 1 grandchild.
You've had quite a number of government assignments and posts, but what I was curious to ask you is, how does one prepare oneself to become ambassador to the Republic of Ghana?
Well, that was, of all the work I've done in my whole life, the best job of my whole life was as U.S. ambassador to the Republic of Ghana. And they gave me 55 separate briefings at the Department of State and with U.S. business, do business in Ghana, ending with a colloquium where professors came in. I knew more about Ghana. I knew so much about it that when I got there, I felt like I'd already served. But it was good.
And you have a wonderful memory, so you can retain all that.
Oh, sure. What I've been doing the last 8 years is to take that experience and work with another Foreign Service officer, and we train new first-time ambassadors before they go overseas at the ambassadorial seminars.
Let's take a phone call. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Hi, this is Belen from Seattle, and I wanted to ask you, if you could, would you ever consider becoming the first U.S. Woman president?
Well, surely there you are. Cabinet is fiddly.
Well,
what do you think?
I'm always pleased to serve my country. I'll be very honored to serve President-elect Bush.
What is in store there? Can we look forward to, do you think?
I don't know, but I've slipped my phone number to them since Ronald Reagan never had it, I guess. He never called me.
Well, you said it was unlisted.
It's an unlisted number. Yeah, they can't get you.
In the main, your story seems like such a happy and positive
one.
one.
Thank you. Where is my camera? I want to thank that person who called. That was a terrific honor, and thank you very much. And you sounded young enough. Maybe we can pull it off. Thank you.
Any regrets at all? Anything looking back that you would do differently?
It's odd to say, but no, I wouldn't. All the bumps, bruises, warts, all those things that happen are for a purpose, a reason. And I wouldn't change anything.
Next time you plan a trip to Seattle, the door to this program is open.
Thank you.
Anytime. Thanks very much for being here.
Thank you, Dick.
Wasn't she fun?
Thank you, Dina.
We'll be right back.
Shirley Temple Black's autobiography, Child Star, is available at most local bookstores. 10 of her greatest films, including Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm, Heidi, Curly Top, and The Little Colonel, are now available at local video stores, courtesy of CBS Fox Video.